Hey everybody, and welcome to another RCT2 review. Today we have a very special treat on our hands. This is Pixar Animation Studios by JK. This is the recently released Spotlight Park on New Element, one of the top 5 highest scoring parks ever. And it is an absolute treasure, and we are joined by JK himself to talk through it. So welcome, welcome.
Welcome, mate.
So thank you for being on, and this monster of a park. This is got to be one of the larger parks we've seen, and my gosh, the detail level is packed in here. So I'm sure you must be just absolutely chuffed to get this thing out.
Yeah, like mind is blown. All the comments, the general feedback has been quite surprising, actually, which is really nice. So yeah, just really proud. This is out there in the wild now.
So this is Spotlight number 4 for you, and you kind of jumped around a little bit. So I think your last one was focused on kind of places that you visited and kind of really fell in love with, and then this one, obviously by the name, is based off of the Pixar movie franchises. So what? Let's start at the beginning. What got you interested in doing a park like this?
So the pinnacle for me of like a park is has always been like a Disney park for sure, and I've never felt the game was advanced enough or strong enough to start like telling those themes. Whereas I come back, open RCT is here, um, and I've always had in the back of my mind that I'd want to do Pixar Animation Studios because it will be my twist on like a Disney park, basically, and I could concentrate on just Pixar IPs, get them down on one map, and break away from the kind of the Disney formula a bit more by putting some more extreme rides there, doing my own thing, having like a studios atmosphere, like an Epcot kind of feel a little bit more. Um, so yeah, that was really the point. I branded it Pixar to give me the creative freedom to play around. I always knew I wanted to do like an indoor space park of some sort. Um, and the idea of Pixar actually went back when I was first around on the forums and I was building on like Dreamport and stuff. But I remember I think Cena did it for a head-to-head park, so it kind of like scuppered my plans basically to do it. Um, but enough time has gone by to do it now.
Well, we always like to say on this channel. I feel like every review I always mention that good ideas never go away. They just go dormant for a little while. So it's cool that you were able to bring this into life, especially with I feel like where we are with objects now and some of the new bits and pieces. Uh, it really feels like there's just a wealth of opportunity for that now.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, huge amount.
So I've just been kind of panning around while we've been talking, but we can kind of start our way in. Since the park is so gigantic, we're not going to spend super long on each thing. But I encourage everybody who's watching this video to download the park, which you can do in the description, and I'll say it again at the end of the video. But to go in here and explore for yourself. It's also muted mostly so I don't get a copyright strike, but also so we can hear each other. But there's a lot of really cool music and audio and just atmosphere to look at. But why don't you talk us through some of these areas? So let's start here, the front and center here with our Buzz Lightyear space.
Yeah, so the idea for Buzz was to lead guests into another world as soon as they kind of enter the park, basically. So they'd be entering studio space, and the idea was it was Lightyear slash but Buzz Lightyear theme from the Toy Story kind of franchise, because it was to infinity and beyond, basically. So that's the whole entrance area suggests there's a whole land of adventure and discovery, and yeah, those limits are kind of endless, basically. So
Love
this
the
area is.
signage.
Say that again.
I said I love the signage here.
That's Monster Books. Monster Books was brought in very late to almost save this area because really wasn't happy with this area. So I think in the final month of building the park, Monster Books and I were playing kind of RCT tennis, um, like making some cool buildings, sending it back to each other, and just really kind of experimenting building together. So the park was great for that because I got to build with some builders I've always wanted to. I always try to feature builders I love on my parks and that I really respect. So the last month and building Lightyear and trying to make it look good because it spent a very long time looking bad was a really good chance to build with someone else and just bring a new energy to the park. And I think we did that successfully.
Well, it's always nice to make those iterations and just make the space look, better over time, and all that. Just being able to use, the talents of the community. We were talking before we started the recording here that, you and I go way back to Coaster Force days before we got together, and I will always claim that I taught you how to build coasters. So it's kind of fun to see this take and just the development over the years.
Yeah, yeah, I can't deny that. Funny story, actually. We started off on Coaster Force. I looked at your park. I think it was the Sands of Time, and I was like, oh my gosh, that park is amazing. I aspire to be like this player. And then you introduced me to any, and my mind was blown even further. So I was looking at parks from like Turtle and Artist, and just being really inspired from there. And then I actually left the community to go travel and just do live stuff. And the next time I was brought back to the community, I actually saw a YouTube video of yours on Dreamport. And that encouraged me to come back. Like, oh, there's a few tools now. There's Open RCT. There's YouTube videos talking about RCT creations. Kind of want a piece of that again. So yeah, you've kind of brought me back to the community, or brought me to the community like twice now, which is really strange.
Well,
So
I
yeah,
guess
thank
that goes to say too for any old timers that are out there who grew up on New Element and haven't been around for a while. We miss you. Come on back.
Definitely, please, please, please. Especially artists. Oh my God, I'd love that. And Metropole, like all the cool British players that were really great.
Yeah, it's an amazing contingent of folks back then. So this outdoor area here, we'll jump in straight out of Buzz Lightyear and into more Toy Story. Got this kind of nice plussed up take on the Disney World version of Toy Story Land, and really really nice area. I love these details like the cowl, splotches here in front of Al's Toy Bar and all the little sculptural things. Just the kind of giant building block stuff, and really love these sculptures. Just fantastic.
Yeah,
Got our U-shaped shuttle here.
the whole area was meant to nod towards Toy Story by giving some of the same rides we'd see, but with a little bit of a twist. So the ride that kind of was inspired by Slinky Dog Dash has got Cheetah Hunt execution, basically.
Hmm.
Those kind of sunken launch trenches as well. I think Taron does that a little bit as well. So there was kind of influence from a lot of places, but we've also just had Otter's Disneyland spotlight as well. So I really didn't want to copy what Otter had done. I wanted to execute Toy Story in a different way. Thankfully, I hadn't started Toy Story when I first saw kind of Otter's creation. Um, so I'd say mine's not as kind of like bushy and bambooy, and maybe not as realistic as Otter's. But I still think it's a good interpretation of Toy Story. There's some really kind of fun things in there, especially that kind of really gets close to the theme. So yeah, I really like the area, but there was always destined to be a huge Toy Story area because it's one of the number one IPs of Pixar, but also setting it outside like real world version to give balance to the intense interior studio spaces.
Hmm. One of the things that I kind of marvel at is, you've got this tilt-a-whirl from Amazing Earl. Back in the day, that was sort of the custom
Right.
ride. Now we're at these super fancy custom rides and very out there creations, but this still works. It still works just
Yeah,
fine.
it does. Yeah, agreed. I mean, I kind of had to stop myself going completely custom on all the rides because the park would just never get out there. The park would never be finished if I was just doing insane hacks and shoestrings all the time. So sometimes, it's good enough just placing a ride and executing a theme.
Hmm. So speaking of custom rides, this is a pretty cool like show ride here to the movie Soul, which admittedly I have not seen. I'm somewhat behind on my Pixar movies, unfortunately. But tell us about this one.
And so this started as an intimate motion stage. I don't know if you've seen them. Um, but there's really cool kind of theatre in the round, and I tried so hard to get kind of 8 disco coasters on the actual track itself and move around. But for some reason, with disco coasters, one of the vehicles is like a small cube, white cube, and you can only place like 3 disco cars on one track basically. And I was like, I feel I'm overcomplicating this too much. Like, let's go source another cool ride. Um, so I don't actually know the official brand name of this, but I'm sure it's a
Mm,
Falcon, yeah, Falcon Circumotion.
the yeah,
Uh,
Falcon's Treehouse has a lot of those different ones.
yeah, so I just wanted something really awesome, impactful. You can kind of imagine what that area is going to sound like. You can imagine the story that will play those things in there as well. So Arton actually did the moving GIF of Soul for me as objects, which kind of presented problems in itself because it was quite a complex object to make, especially like the timing of it as well, getting the clipping right. So yeah, I just know I wanted with an interior park, I wanted to champion experience rides over, say, like the water rides as the supporting rides of the area. So I wanted like a really different coaster lineup. I wanted a big experience rides, whether they were tracked rides or whether they were kind of these kind of circumotions or something else. I just wanted to be really diverse with the rides that would feature in this park.
Yeah, really unique ride, kind of beautiful setting and everything else. Um, and then we can move a little further on over this way, and we get to, we'll kind of go backwards to this side where we have up that kind of spans across a couple different areas here. So um, we've got the indoor space over here, the theater, and then there's also this exterior one. So let's kind of look at this. We get this cool curvy queue with the. I love the house coming up off the ground and the stub ups for the water and everything. I think that's just fantastic. And you've got your flying theater in here.
Yeah, I love the flying theatre. Um, it's just I've always wanted to do a theatre, like a flying theatre and stuff. I think I was talking to Flyer actually, who is someone that works I think at Legoland in real life, and they were talking about lots of kind of immersive dark rides that I could do, and I remember a flying theatre was one of them. So I think Flyer gave me the idea for this one. Um, Split Vision came
I
on
love
board
the
to do
motion.
it. Yes, Split
It.
Vision did it.
I was gonna say it feels like something Split Vision would do. It's just
Yeah,
super technically complicated and visually impressive.
honestly, the one of the nicest guys on the forums and one of the best guest spots to have on any park because he just breathes amazing life into creations and takes an idea even further and makes it feel right. So yeah, big up, Split Vision. Just some of the stuff he's done on the park is amazing.
I love the little detail here of like the what I can imagine is like the scent or the mist or all the things coming up out of the ground. Like that's a cool little touch.
Yeah, I wanted it, flying through the air through the clouds. That would be where the wind would blow in guest faces to kind of make it more immersive.
And you've got a couple different rides out here. You've got the dogfight little Sensei kind of ride there, and then you got the rapids ride here with the drop at the end here, which is really pretty and using the show buildings that you have as interior spaces, or these kind of demising walls as like your backdrop, which is a really kind of nice way to use that.
Yeah, I was always really worried with this section. This section was developed quite late actually in the process. But the goal for it was to offer another outdoor space, but to transition up to Monsters Inc. Quite well. Quite well. I'm not sure because there's such different themes. But yeah, the idea was always just, another space. I was like, I do need another water ride in here because the park is quite light on water rides, even though that was like in the strategy of like building the park and stuff. And the dogfight biplane, I was arguing with a few players like, we just need a mine train here. Like, how cool would it be? Like Alton Towers with the river rapids and the mine train over it, etc. Everyone's like, oh, it's just going to be so busy and stuff. So I think I settled on doing this biplane ride over the rapids because it felt more kind of indicative of the theme, basically. So yeah, the idea is
Well,
to the house like shoots off into the sky and then it moves to the right, and this is where the park the house moves to. There's the Paradise Falls. So it's kind of a good juxtaposition of, the grey concrete jungle, the flying island, all of a sudden taking off, starting their adventure from the film, moving to that wilderness, and that it's a really big kind of juxtaposition of styles there.
you can see the nice transition there. I'm a big fan of non-coaster track rides in parks, just because I don't feel like that gets enough representation. So this kind of stuff always makes me happy because it's just an interesting type of ride.
Nice.
Uh, so let's transition over here to Monsters Inc., which is the far end of the ride here. Now, this one is kind of interesting since Walt Disney World announced that they are doing this in Hollywood Studios, and you matched the coaster that they are looking to do similarly in their park. So this is kind of a neat one. I guess let's start here in the plaza because this is a great setup to everything. But then you have the coaster there. So did you end up already having some of this built before that announcement, or once the announcement happened, did you then have to tweak this, or how did that work?
So the thing is with the Monsters Inc. area is it's been teased for a while. The door coaster's been teased for a while as well. But there's also been multiple iterations of a Monsters Inc. land and how it could look like. So I first built this area, wasn't happy with it, so I had a bit of a hissy fit. I wanted to delete it. Um, it was based off, I can't remember, but it was based off older designs and it was very tarmac heavy. It wasn't that great. And then the whole area after that was newer concept artwork that I could look at. I think it's going in place of, is it the Muppets area?
Mm-hmm. It
So
is,
the
yeah.
yeah, the new concept artwork came out for that, and it just gave me a lot more structure. And a trick Nin taught me actually when in head to head is when you've got like a concept art or a picture in front of you. Sometimes Nin sketches over it to like look at like the lines and the shapes emerging from something. So I did that with the artwork that was released to understand the shape of the area and how it could be executed within RCT basically. Um, and Monsters Inc. nearly wasn't built as well. When I had that much of a hissy fit deleting the first version, I was like, I'm just going to cut the park and it's just going to be a lot smaller and that's it. And I think it was Josh actually convinced me to still build it. I can't lose Bugs Life and Monsters Inc. on a huge Pixar release. So it's probably thanks to Josh, also known as InCities on the forum for any newer players, that probably saved Monsters Inc. So there's a nice peep scene dedicated to Josh on the main street to just say thank you
Oh, well
for
done.
yeah giving your
Well,
critique and just pushing me to do better.
Josh and Nin are both excellent. They really help encourage you to be the best out of what you can be with some of this kind of thing. I love the way that this coaster interacts with the door motion, and this whole kind of wall of doors here just adds such a nice color to the map and everything. All these little show scenes as you come around, and I think what I like about this one is this is a really big coaster, especially a big coaster to stick indoors, and you have a giant show building here, like an absolutely gigantic show building, but it doesn't feel that bad in terms of scale when you're looking at it, because you've built up these buildings really nicely. You have this sort of kind of front portion of this one with the dome and everything. You've hidden it on the side with the Rapids ride on this side, and you've kind of cut open the other side, so it really actually works fairly well in terms of scale and just fits into the area just fine.
Yeah, I think on paper it sounds like a car crash about to take place, doesn't it? Like so close to other areas, huge. Like most of the building is actually cut off, even though it's an indoor ride. So it sounds like it's going to be really bad. But when I was doing it, it looked really great. So I was just like, wow, okay, I think I've pulled it off. Um, but there has been multiple iterations of this. So
I think any good design there usually is. So it's one of those mesmerizing ones to watch. This is why I kind of enjoyed setting the camera there for a second.
yeah, yeah, I love that ride. I think that's probably one of the big moments of the park, I'd say.
For sure. So we skipped over Incredibles when we were coming in initially. So let's go back to this. First of all, this facade is really cool and striking, just because it's such a almost a very different art style with the whole. You're basically simulating night here in a out in an outdoor space, and then you're transitioning into this other outdoor space that has a very different vibe to it, with this huge Mauer coaster and this gigantic scenic element, which is just absolutely amazing. Uh, this one's really cool. It's a kind of a departure. It feels like from some of the rest of the areas, but I think it works really well.
Yeah, this kind of felt like the Disney castle moment of the park, even though it's not as centralized from a sightline perspective. Um, I always knew for Incredibles I wanted to do a huge Omnidroid with the coaster. FK jokes about this a lot because he says that's like the Angelina Jolie leg, like peeking out there. Apparently, it's like a famous like meme, which I wasn't sure of until talking to FK about this. But the laser being blasted from the Omnidroid as well, a little bit unrealistic, but sometimes you just have to pick your moments and just say, yeah, that would be really cool if that blasted a laser, by the way. So, yeah, that's probably one of the most unrealistic elements of the park. But at the same time, you just sometimes you just go for it.
I'm sure everybody could make that work if the right combination of effects worked out. But there's a lot of cool stuff in here. I love this indoor teacups in here. I think that's pretty excellent. I love the just the little sections here for each one of the characters. I think that's very neat.
Yeah.
Also, this Sally Dark ride on this side, which is a pretty cool one too. You can kind of see there's a couple of different elements to it as I get rid of some of the scenery there, so you can see it. First of all, just the I love the character images here, and you can get in, and there's quite a lot of show scenes to see here. It's fairly detailed.
Yeah, massively. So this was about all the best bits of the ride that could take place. So there was a couple of schools of thought: either do miniature scenes of the two films, Incredibles one, Incredibles two, put together, or do the the Syndrome. Don't know if you've seen it first Incredibles, like the
Hmm.
Syndrome kind of evil layer with like all the rocks and lava in the jungle, etc. So there was two ideas emerging with this area, and I just thought, no, the Omnidroid's already taking up good space, attacking the city. I feel that I'll do this kind of like Sally Dark ride with all the different moments of Incredibles 1, Incredibles 2. So there's sections where you're battling the screenslaver, or there's sections where the Underminer is like breaking out into the bank and stuff. And my son loves the Incredibles, so it kind of puts a lot more pressure on these things because you want to do it justice for him when you're like kind of like pointing and like talking about stuff. Um, so yeah, it was just, it's insane. I mean, even that section that we can see there that's quite bare, that was one of like the final week. I was like, oh, I really need to do something to this, and I was like, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't need to make everything so detailed and crunch heavy. Um,
Hmm.
so there's some basic elements of this ride, but I think it's allowed for balance.
Yeah, I think it's about finding the right balance. Is that you don't need to. There's always a danger these days. I think of what you would call overcrunch. Where
Yeah,
there's just too many textural things and too much stuff, and it just gets so hard to read. I think that's one of the things I like about this park is that it's very dense. It's very heavy on theming, but it's all very readable, which I like.
yeah, exactly. I quite lucky in my style that I shoot for crunch, but it's not the be all and end all. So I'd say I'm like a semi crunchy style. I can definitely like go there when the time is right, but sometimes as well, just like beautiful kind of like landscaping, sculpture work, etc. That will probably like take my fancy a little bit more.
For sure. And I'll point out there that we were stopped for a moment there on the drop track on that ride, which is super, super cool. If you guys do download this park, there will be an advanced track plugin in the zip file. Make sure you drop that in your plugins folder so stuff like that will work just fine because you really want that to be able to see the whole thing. All right, so if we move along into our kind of front plaza here again, we can kind of cut our way back down through the middle. We've got these really cool sculptural pieces here in the middle, these orbs from Inside Out, which is pretty neat. And if we turn around here, we can see some more of the uh, Inside Out characters having their own little cafes and shops and everything, which is kind of fun. Also, the walkway up to the People Mover, which goes around the whole thing. I think that would be honestly a joy to ride. One of my favorite rides, probably. I love the Disney World one just because it's cool to just relax and chill out and enjoy it. And the amount of stuff that you could see on this would be incredible. Well, here we are in Radiator Springs, our cars land. So this is a kind of a three-parter here. We've got the indoor bit, you've got the outdoor bit number one, and then you've got the outdoor bit number two over here.
Yeah.
So let's start inside, I guess, because some incredible sign, uh, great diner, and with the gas station and everything, and cool pathway sculpture art. And then we get inside to another double attraction here with a the Radiator Springs Racers here, the Flo's slow ride or show ride, and then also the Flume.
Yeah, so this, when I talk about RCT tennis with Monster Books before, this was the first time I played RCT tennis with Terry Inferno. So his landscaping is next level, and you have to get the Radiator Springs landscaping down. So I worked with him to kind of develop the style from here, landscape this area. He did most of it actually, but um, if he was ever busy, I was kind of just filling in spots here and there. I plotted the rides, and we kind of planned this area and also landscape the area together as well. So I always knew that I wanted to have like a big kind of Radiator Springs main strip, but then I also wanted to offer kind of like a tracked car ride indoors. How would that be different? Maybe like a nighttime drive along Route 66, possibly. So the idea was to always offer different things. So the outside is like daytime because it's quite easy to execute. Then the inside is nighttime, kind of like more immersive, and yeah, to offer different things. This was one of the first areas I did actually, so I don't think the macro of the three kind of parts that you kind of allude to is is as successful as it could be. Um, so, but as well,
I don't know if you notice. To me, it still holds up fairly well. Again, you got this nice simple use of the show building for your backdrop, which is great, and it kind of feels like that. halfway theme park show set and halfway recreation and immersion into a space. Clearly you're not going to look at this wall and go, "Well, I'm actually there," but the look and feel of it really gives you that sense of feeling in the place without being fully there, which I think is quite nice. And then as you go around the back here, you have the coaster on the side here. This one was sort of interesting to me because I would say, if anything, this one almost felt a little bit out of place because it almost felt like it was a little bit hidden in the back, with a fairly simple station and some other stuff. Was this something that you did fairly early on, or what was the
Yeah,
intention for this launched one?
the whole area was done very very early on, especially with the macro planning. And I think it gets to a stage with the park where if you were to redo everything, especially such a significant area of the park, the spotlight's just not going to get out there in the wild, basically. Um,
Hmm.
but what I really really want to do with this park is keep expanding the areas when Pixar releases another banger. I want this to be like the go-to resource or like to park for any Pixar film now that's executed in RCT. So there's like a coming soon section here, to just to the right at the very back of the park.
Ah,
Um,
look at that. There we
that
are.
it's yeah, suggestive that more is coming, basically. So we've got a bit of announcement with a notice board and concept artwork on the wooden board. All the executives or the board have pulled up to discuss some new plans that are emerging, basically. Um,
I love that. That's clever. I love
um,
this whole green roof over your back of house is really nice here, just to kind of screen what would be sort of the ugly job trailers from your coaster and your other things, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was a macro decision. Basically, I was looking at the overview and I was like, oh my gosh, that's one ugly ass long road. So what am I going to do to break it up and try and just blend it in? What would Pixar or Disney do for immersion? So I then thought of doing that just to transition into natural land to the park a little bit better.
Absolutely. So let's jump back to the front here because we skipped over this side when we first came in. So here we are in Ratatouille, and we have the really beautiful diagonal entrance here as we get into this Parisian streetscape here with the kind of twilight looking backdrop here, the Gusteau's sign, and loving the little forced perspective Eiffel Tower here. If you turn around to the other side, you've got Moulin Rouge with the tower here. You've got the just great signage throughout the whole thing, and all of that leads into a pretty huge dark ride that's in here, as well as your little track section here where you get those little peaks of the ride itself. But this is a pretty gigantic show building for this ride.
Yeah, I this was also one of the first areas I built this in cars because I was like, if I can execute Paris or Ratatouille in a section, and I can do Radiator Springs in a section, I can do anything on this park. So I was dipping into both of those concepts very early on to prove that this park could be cool, basically. Um, so I always knew, like I said before, I always knew I wanted to champion dark rides and experience rides. This was like one of the first ones I did. It's been through like a few iterations and a few kind of like tweaks to some of the objects just to get the scaling right with the small rat running through like the restaurant or the sewers, etc. The objects started off quite small there, so I just needed to get the scale right. I also created a lot of objects for this as well. So I think the wine bottle it was a very early object of mine that I've done. The chandelier as well, just to add a little bit more kind of context to the area. Um, yeah, it's just a really cool ride. I love this ride. It's great. Yeah, again, that kind of moving.
All the motion. Yeah, the moving stuff. That was what I was, thinking you're gonna mention here. Just I love the little cheese racers here, the bubbling of the boiling water here, the flashing of the other burners on the stove, the dripping of the, It's like the watermelon there and the bottle that's tipped over. There's just so much to look at and kind of follow along. It's very eye catching.
There's a lot going on, like the dripping watermelon juice off the side as well. I always want to just think about like details like the water on the bottom of the mop as well that was propped up on the side of the kitchen
Yeah,
thing.
turn
So
around and look at that.
when you're kind of creating these rides, you're thinking, okay, like what materials are going to be there, what are the smells going to be, what are going to be the actions that are happening in that kind of moving kitchen, and now what RCT object do I need to make that happen?
Hmm.
So yeah, that was really cool. I love that ride.
Well, I'm thinking through the process there. That's you made a good point about process and figuring it out. Is you're not taking your set of pieces and saying, okay, what can I build with this? You're saying, okay, here's what I need to build. Now let's go find the thing that can make that work.
Yeah, exactly. And you find a really nice groove at the end of building a spotlight because you've already got your Swiss Army knife of your go-to objects, basically, from getting comfortable with the bench. So it really helps.
Hmm. So we've got out in the middle here a couple of different things. So we've got sort of the classic midway type stuff. We've got our old circle swing here. There's a chair swing on this side called Swingfinity. And then on the other side here, we have, which should be familiar to anybody who's ever been to California Adventure, we've got the Incredicoaster.
Yeah.
And there's also the launch tower here. So, love this one. So this is sort of more of your kind of Pixar kind of home base almost in the center of all your different lands.
Yeah, exactly that, and it's deeply inspired by the one in California as well. Yeah, I just really love this ride because I always wanted to lead with Frozone, or like a cool character for the Incredibles ride. So I was looking at Pixar Pier a lot more, and I was like, oh, there's an Incredicoaster there. Oh, it'd be a bit weird to split that off and have that at the main section of the island. So it would be a very easy thing to rebrand this something else. But I was like, well, no, I want to pay homage to what's currently out there in the world as well. So the decision
Mm-hmm.
was to keep it Incredicoaster because Mr. Incredible is fighting crime everywhere he goes in the park. So we've got a Frozone kind of lead coaster in the Incredible section. We've got this Incredicoaster. I also really wanted like a Giga in there at one point for like Syndrome, like that was like scaling the whole back of the park, just a huge Giga coaster. Um, I could have gone nuts, but I just don't think it would have been like great for the balance of the macro, basically.
Yeah, I think you found a good balance of larger thrill type things, which is a nice departure from what you typically see out of Disney,
Yeah,
and you've made it work well for this, and I think it looks good and it works really well for all of these things that no one thing dominates the entire map, which I appreciate.
yeah, agreed.
So
The whole
let's
Pixar Pier
go ahead.
was my chance to be like, okay, like Main Street USA and stuff, but what about
Mm,
that reimagined as like Pixar Pier in the center of the map as well? What would that look like if Pixar had a paintbrush and like started doing things basically? So this kind of style, a little bit kind of Main Street USA, more so like Pixar Pier led. And I'd say this
mhm.
section actually made me an object creator because I just was trying things out and I was like, I'm not happy with some of the objects that I'm having. I think I could make some better objects to execute the theme. So I started doing like a lot of research into like Baroque kind of objects and different things that I want to do. So yeah, this whole section made me an object creator probably.
That's an incredible asset to have because I find right now that am often looking for the right kind of object for whatever I'm building, and I just can't find it. And then it's got to go beg somebody to make me an object because I just don't know how to do it, nor do I have the skills to do it. But it's one of those things where, it's a good reminder that anybody can do it if you put in the time and the effort to learn it.
Agreed. Yeah, it's. I never thought I would, but I think also coming off the back of head to head 10, I had an incredible team of object builders, like Nin, Mamarius, Iton Amusement Parker. Oh my gosh, I'm probably forgetting some names there as well. But we were just stacked on the object creator front. So they really inspired me to kind of up my game and like, yeah, I can do that too. And honestly, as soon as I became an object creator, it's unlocked a new layer of the game for me. I feel like incredibly grateful to be able to execute some of the themes now because I've got that in my back pocket as like almost like a bit of a sub skill to just help me support build anything in Roller Coaster Tycoon now.
Yeah, it does give me the hope that maybe one of these days I ought to learn how to do it and get the rest of the way. Ah, but
It's so
let's go to.
confusing, but
Go
it's so
ahead.
easy.
I'm sure that the nice thing is there's a lot of talent out there that are happy to explain how to do it, and that's what I like about the community is everybody's always happy to share.
Yeah, massively.
So let's jump into Coco. So we've got this great little outdoor, space here with this excellent like mission and a bunch of really kind of nice traditional architecture. Got a kind of festival going on, the Taqueria, and then inside you've got our nighttime kind of view through this amazing portal right here. And then a couple of pretty interesting ones are nice little invert here using the looping coaster track just on top, which I always kind of like to see. Hopefully, one of these days we'll get proper invert track to use, but I can dream for now. And then your nice little water ride here as well. But this is really, really stacked. Super bright colors. It's visually super busy. It was one of those ones where I kind of had to stare at it for a little while and kind of get my head into it and kind of break down all the different stuff to see what it is. But there's just so much to take in.
Yeah, and as well, it's so close to Finding Nemo, which is yet again another visually busy area. But I kind of don't mind that, to be honest. The really great thing about the whole park was each interior section gave me an opportunity to do something cool. So this is, City of the Dead, or it's underwater, or it's in space, etc. So I could really go there with the themes because they were housed with this canvas, this box that was helping me be as detailed as I liked. But it's also why the kind of the service areas, the service facades are very, very basic because it's just to give visual relief of everything that's happening in theme park land. Um, so yeah,
It's a,
it goes there.
it's a good point when you're building, and this is another good takeaway from an expert as this would be. So, if you built the whole park like this, it would be just too much. It would be an assault on your senses. But when you have this, then combined with this, it works great.
Exactly. Yeah, like this is almost expected and it's boring, but it needs to be
Mm-hmm.
boring because I don't want to say that's real life because real life isn't boring, but these things happen. Sometimes you're on a ride or you're in a park and you catch like a little glimpse of the back uh the back kind of end area and you're like, oh god, that looks really trash.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was to bring the service area to the park a lot because I think the Lonely Planet let me down on that front with not going there with kind of these deep immersive backstage areas. So this park was kind of really my chance to be a lot more realistic with my build
Mm-hmm.
type.
Some incredible flooring detail here, and then I love the reflection on the water of the lights and everything here with the orange. It's just such a nice look.
Yeah.
Um, but let's
Um
move out of here then.
Really
Or
quick
is there
shout out.
something else you want to add here?
Yeah, sorry. The stage that was built by Monster Books. Yet again,
Mm.
in the last month, building the park, breathing life into it. I had this really strange shape. I was like to Bugs, I don't know what to do with this. But I'm thinking there should be a stage where people can join in, like music, festival, and dance and stuff. And she took this really difficult shape of an area and just made it make sense. So much so that she was plugging away and she was doing buildings, and then I was like doing some other like finalization of details and shapes and macro planning basically. But yet again, just another builder that just came in and helped me unblock things for sure.
It's a gorgeous setup. It is. You're right. It's a very challenging area, and trying to fit the space in or the program into that space, and it's done. It's done quite well. Uh, but let's turn our attention then to our final area here. This is Finding Nemo, and this is a super cool facade. I love this because it's kind of almost a more standard looking building, but you have this just great looking facade here. You got the coaster popping out, you got the water coming in. Of course, it's Nemo, so you need the water, kind of the wavy elements here, the blues, everything else, and then you get inside and you have just so much to see. You got your Mauer spinner here. You have this, which is maybe my favorite non-coaster ride in the park, the Zamperla drop splash, because there are two of these in the world. Only one of them is operating, and they are both currently in Saudi Arabia, which is where I'm living right now. So my hope is to get to ride one of these eventually,
Yeah,
and we'll kind of keep trained on this when the thing runs. But why don't you talk about the area?
definitely. Yeah, with Finding Nemo, there's just no architecture in underwater, obviously. So it was always going to be a challenge. This area is going to be like a deeply kind of landscaped area. I know that I didn't necessarily want to lean on Finding Dory too much. Um, I have done with some of the aquatic kind of fish tanks. Um, but it kind of it puts your arm behind your back because I can't rely on architecture within this section now. So what do I do? I can with Coco. I'm quite strong with architecture. I love building Archie, but with this one it's harder because you're then relying on a different skill set to sell the idea. A lot more you're relying on foliage and rock work, a lot more. So how do you bring those wow factors out? So those wow factors for me were ride design, um, kind of those big fish tank custom moments. Those fish as entertainers came at a very, very great time. And I just imagine walking into like a theme park area and having these huge giant fish tanks supporting the rides in that section. So that tracked splash kind of splash ride is based on the fish tank area of Finding Nemo, like the shark bait hoo ha ha moment. So those blue pebbles are like the artificial stuff that you'd find at the bottom of the fish tank. There's like a few more tiki sculptures there as well, and I think that volcano probably gets a nod to the worst object on the map. um, but you
Well,
can
I
do it.
think that's always one of those things. Is it's using terrible objects in ways that don't look terrible, like this, or using objects in ways that you wouldn't expect, like this ring of seats from the gyro swing ride as coral. Brilliant. I think that's great.
Yeah, with the Shea moving grass as well, and there's also the is it the Wacky Worlds moving flag? So I've made that just like moving seaweed on the floor by pairing it with that Alice in Wonderland kind of circular um
Hmm.
looking flowy object. I've just explained that really bad. I've massacred what I was trying to get across. But yeah, it's just all about interesting objects to execute new ideas. Especially with the coral as well. I love that coral in the very corner, the very top of your screen. Um, I used like if you just go over to the left slightly, to the
Oh,
station. Yeah, so you see the very top, just under the turtle sculpture. There's like this kind of coral. Yeah, so that was like wall rocks, but it had cracks in it as like a secondary color, and I've just made that transparent to look like coral a lot more, and I love that kind of execution. So there's these kind of nuances and touches all across the board, basically.
it turned out so nice. Yeah, there's just so many cool little details here. All right, let's go watch this. We had to wait for a full load here, um, but this is just such a cool ride, and I, I'm honestly impressed that you put this one in because it's not a super well known ride type.
I saw it on Instagram, um, and I saw that it's almost like an attraction for the people on it, but also the people spectating as well, because it's kind of like that B&M dive coaster like splash moment. It's also an attraction for people that are watching on. Um, so that was the whole point of it. I saw it on
So
Instagram.
cool.
I saw it on Instagram. I said
Uh,
to Split Vision, I really want to do this. By the way, could you help me do the hack? So he did the hack and built the carcass for the ride, which is an advanced kind of shoestring on there for sure. There's lots of track and lots of vertical water happening with that one. And then I themed the rest of it and put the framing around it basically. Uh, but yeah, I it's all about finding those diverse ride types and just getting them in the park somehow. As soon as I saw this on Instagram, I was like, that is the ride that needs to go and find a Nemo because it's such a cool attraction, like almost like bringing the water to the guests in the area, basically, and like flooding everything.
I love it. I've always been a big fan of trying to be one of the first to do different types of rides in the game, or seeing where those are, and that one definitely wins as being the first of that kind. So love that. So that's
Nice.
all the areas that there are to see. I mean, it's an incredible sized park. You mentioned when we were over here at Monsters Inc. that Bugs Life was one that got cut. Are there any
Yeah.
other areas that stayed on the clipping room floor?
Oh my god, yeah, Brave as well. But I just done Murder in McAllen in Head to Head 10, and the first design I did back was like a Scottish theme. So I was like, oh, people are really going to expect that from me and stuff. So maybe I won't do Brave. I really wanted to do Elemental, but I think the franchise is going to develop over time. Um, so I want to do Elemental at some point. Bugs Life needs to be done when the Open RCT team also kind of advance water slides a lot more with like even just the ride types and the capabilities of water slides. I really want to bulk out the Finding Nemo section to build a water park basically off that corner. But I could also tie in Luca and there's another one as well. Luca and another underwater theme that would be really cool for that top corner. So basically, the possibilities are endless with this park, but it's a project that I want to come back to and maybe not do like a 2026 release, but maybe a 2027 release of some new kind of films in there. Like the park has been updated, like maybe tidy up the cars area just like a little bit more that opens up into an outdoor space with new studios being added to the map.
Well, and I love that you're still interested in expanding it and changing it because when a lot of times when I get done with the park, I'm just so sick of it, I never want to look at it again. And it's cool that you are still, such a fan of this that and still into it enough that you can see it growing and expanding because that's just such a cool idea, I guess, to keep it going and keep it building over time. Uh, so, what would you say as you look through this? What is I usually ask two things. What's your favorite thing? That's the first thing. And then the second thing is what is one detail that you expect that a lot of people miss, but you are super proud of that you'd like to show off?
Ooh, okay. um Favorite thing for sure is just Coco area in total. Just the whole of the Coco area just is the level of RCT I want to be building and executing. I love the fact that there's like a play on the live Santa Cecilia town. You step through this portal, all of a sudden you're in the land of the dead. I love that. That makes me really, really happy. Um, it's just everything more I wanted from this area. So yeah, I love this. Um, in terms of detail that I think is really cool that people have missed, I actually think it's been called out. All the stuff has been called out, which which I'm happy with. Oh, those. So if you just zoom into that Playland sign now, where the people mover is,
Oh,
uh,
here we go.
there you go. There's this, those joining monkeys. That's quite a
Hmm.
nice, cool touch that I love.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, there's also an 8 ball by the side to the left of it as well. That kind of magic 8 ball toy that you
Hmm.
see. There's just all of those touches across the park that I adore. I love that I spent lots of time like building like on map or off map on. So I don't know. I just encourage people to explore it and find those moments and tell me what you loved. And I'd love a great comment on how I can just progress and advance my style and like better my game as well. Um, because there's been a lot of love for the park on the forums, but I'm still looking at that kind of critical feedback to be able to, take the next step.
Hmm. Absolutely, and I would encourage everybody. Like I said earlier, the download to the park is down below in the video description. So do check that out. You will need Open RCT2 to view this, the latest version of it, and you'll need to throw that advanced track plugin in there. If you downloaded it earlier, after it had come out, before this video was released, and you were having trouble with objects, the save file is fixed now. So download another save file again, and it will work well. And to JK's point, leave a comment, go to the forums, sign up for an account on New Element if you haven't already, and leave a comment on the park, because it is such a huge project and representative of a heck of a lot of hard work. And it's always nice to leave a comment. And of course, anything you mark here in the video, I know he'll see as well. But so what's next for you? When we first started talking, I asked if this is your fourth or fifth spotlight. You said it was number 4, but 5 wasn't too far behind. So what's next?
So I submitted this and started my fifth spotlight attempt. After pretty much straight after this, I was really really hungry to try something else. With every spotlight, I'm trying to like tick off like some core things I want to improve with my game. So I think my macro planning for this hindered me at times and probably put a lot of blockers in the way for the park. So I really want to sort macro planning for my next one. I will also want to do a fantasy spotlight. I've never done a fantasy park before for a spotlight. It's always either been semi-realism or I feel this is a very realistic park. Um, and yeah, just try something different. And I don't think I'm ever going to build a spotlight again that scores like Pixar has just scored. Hopefully, all the full scale solids will be 90 plus, but I'm not expecting a Pixar score anymore because this was just dreamy for sure. So yeah, for me coming up is dark palette spotlight attempt for Gotham City, with kind of fantastical elements. Focus on amazing, unique ride design as well. Um, and yeah, just go for it with the city theme basically.
Love it. I'm looking forward to it. All right. So, any parting thoughts?
Uh, I love this community. I love it. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful for being back and seeing that video reviewing Dreamport and jumping onto Discord and seeing Dreamport absolutely slated because it also lit a fire under my ass that I'm not finished on Dreamport. I've got so much more to give and just improve my style. And I think I've done that. I've got to a certain stage now where I've finally hit legendary status again with the game, and it's taken me a while to do that. So it just shows you how much the meta has changed, and our expectations of the perfect park are just so much greater than they used to be. So yeah, I'm happy that I've got two kind of modern meta spotlights now, whereas I used to have two traditional spotlights only. So I'm just, yeah, I'm glad I haven't faded into the background, basically.
Well, we're happy to have you around, and the community is better for it. So thank you very much for being on our little show here today.
Thank you. And yeah, just one more point thought actually. I talked through a lot of the guest spots on the park: Terry Inferno, Monster Book, Split Vision. I also want to shout out to Timmy Tuna for the hack on the Soul Ride, Amusement Parker for the shoestrings on the Pixar Pier kind of rides as well. I then themed them up. It was amazing working with Amusement Parker. I love Parker, and also FK. FK and Coaster Mind for developing the style for the entrance buildings, doing a lot of that as well. Me finishing that off, but a lot of the work FK did was just so supportive, and FK is just really great friend in the community that I love doing these like large scale parks with. So yeah, they're just saying thank you basically to all the guest spots. I couldn't have done it without you.
Fantastic. Once again, this community is so great. So certainly, if you're seeing this and you'd like to know more about how to do it, New Element's a great space to do that. And certainly you can comment here on the video, join our Discord, join the New Element Discord, and there's lots of folks that can teach you all about what this kind of building is like. But that's all for today. So thank you very much for watching this video. Go download the park, go check it out in detail, listen to the music because it's great, and just find all the little details. But until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and we'll catch you all later. Bye now.